Yes, yeah, CJ will be our week one starter in Baltimore.
What is it that's kind of led you to that decision?
It's been over the course of the entire process of OTAs, training camp, preseason games, just seeing the complete product and knowing CJ's desire to continue to get better.
DeMeco there talking about CJ showing that he knows that he needs to get better. I don't think that was ever really in question, but I think it goes back to wanting to set a standard of the right kind of humility. You know, you want that nice blend between arrogance and humility. I guess some people would call that confidence. But it's funny because I don't know. I'll have to ask DeMeco about this sometime. I hate to insert myself into this, but I don't hate inserting myself into anything. You know, when DeMeco was a rookie, he came in and they started him. It was like the first or second week of training camp over a veteran at the time. And like I, as a grumpy old grizzled vet, didn't like it. I didn't like that they just elevated this rookie immediately into a starting role. And I was way wrong on it. I think DeMeco, Andre Johnson, there's certain guys that just flat out are ready to start immediately. But I don't know if DeMeco picked up on that at all. I might have flipped out on him in the huddle once or twice because I was an angry old dehydrated veteran. But I think that there is that part of DeMeco that does want to help CJ out by also knowing, like making sure that CJ earns the respect and the trust of the veterans. And there's just simply the matter of like going step by step and learning this offense and being competent at certain things. You just keep ascending the stairs of where they want you to be in this offense. And he did it each step along the way so they could be sure and comfortable about it. They didn't have to walk anything back.
I thought he did a really good job tonight. Continued to progress, had a good week last week versus Miami, and to come back out this week, the ball placement again was very nice.
Okay, two things. Ball placement, one. Look, I'm like many of you. For a long time, I would hear about ball placement. I'd say, just call it accuracy. Just call it what it is. But it's not. It's a little bit more nuanced than just mere accuracy. I think Dan Orlovsky stated it best when he said that ball placement is putting the ball where the defender can't get to it. You know, there's throwing the ball to the receiver, and then there's a higher standard, which is putting it exactly where the receiver can make an easy catch that A, allows him to run after the catch, and B, does not risk an interception. I'm excited about that. I'm a full convert into the concept of ball placement over mere accuracy. Accuracy. It's like cavemen.
As Kenyon Green, has he regressed in your opinion? What is it that he's working on?
No, we were all working to get better. As I said multiple times standing here, every position is everybody is always moving around. Right? Every position, we'll always evaluate each guy and see where we are.
Okay, the question was, has Kenyon Green regressed? And DeMeco did a masterful job of not answering the actual question. He said everybody's trying to get better. I'm going to start using that with my wife. And somebody had asked a question about Kenyon Green. Miles asked, is Green hurt? He whiffs on a block and then holds his wrist. You know, one thing about that play, what you'll notice is he held his wrist, but on that arm, there's a black band on his arm. That's a brace that they use to help stabilize your shoulder. I wore one very similar to that, and I'm kind of disappointed that in 20 years, they're still using that trash brace because it doesn't do a damn thing. It's kind of like a harness that's attached to your shoulder and then onto your arm, and it's supposed to keep, you know, your arm from dislocating. But if your arm is going to dislocate, it's going to dislocate. That was my issue. Kenyon Green's shoulder issue was not as severe as that, but he may have been holding his wrist, and like sometimes when your shoulder's hurt, you hold your wrist just to keep your shoulder from jostling about. I don't know. I would say if you're an offensive lineman, when you get beat, even if you are injured, don't clutch whatever's injured because nobody believes it. They just think that you're making an excuse. It's nothing worse than a guy that you beat and then he gets up like, oh, my ankle. Wasn't your ankle, it was your suck.
Right, and what did you think about how angry he ran?
Yeah, I love
I wanted to know about how angry Damian ran.
the way Damian ran. That's what we want to see from him. So he did a really good job. The challenge this week was, to our running backs to accelerate through the hole, right? Continue to move their feet, continue to finish going forward. And it was good to see Damian run that way. And that's his style. We love the angry style, and that's what we want to continue to see from him. And also, I thought Mike Boone did a really nice job today as well, running the ball, finishing runs. He ran very physical mindset, and I love the way both of those guys ran tonight.
Okay, I didn't realize that DeMeco had actually credited Boone in the press conference. He volunteered it up. That's really nice, unless he was asked about it, but I think it was really nice. As we all saw, I think there's reason to get excited about Boone, especially if, not to beat a dead horse, but in this offense, a lot of guys that are relatively unheralded have done really, really good things. And I'm not saying that anybody's going to be the next Arian Foster or anything, but they're capable of doing it. As far as the running angry part, man, if you have a chance to listen to the Play Callers, it's a podcast from The Athletic that follows kind of Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Robert Saleh, all those guys that started off in Houston, and talk about their philosophy, how they run their offense, all those things. One of the coolest things is when they talk about how Kyle Shanahan, regardless of how you think about his ability to trade for and draft quarterbacks, Kyle Shanahan just wants to beat the snot out of people. Like, as much as people love to talk about the passing game, Kyle Shanahan, and Bobby Slowick was working for Kyle Shanahan these last few years, just wants to just physically demolish people and like punish them and bruise them. And Damien's that kind of guy. That was Lonnie Johnson. Thank you to our listener, Lamont, who pointed that out this morning on that one play where, as Lamont put it, he served up a dish full of shoulder pads to Lonnie Johnson there at the end of that one run past the first down marker. That's exactly what they want. And, mild-mannered DeMeco has talked about that. We know that.
Tank Dell's return, you see him do it on practice.
Yeah.
You see him do that in the game.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I think asked a question about Tank Dell as a returner.
Tank's an exciting player, and you go see it again. Like, each game he's in, I think he's made a big-time play, an explosive play. And that's the type of playmaker that Tank can be for us. So really excited with just his growth throughout, OTAs, the training camp, preseason. Tank is showing up each and every day. He's worked, and he's made those plays in practice, and it shows up in the game.
About how you need linebackers to cover key players in space. Christian Harris matchup, Jimmy Graham gets a touchdown later.
Brooks Cabina said, you've talked about how important it is linebackers be able to cover people in space. And we saw Christian Harris matched up against the geriatric Jimmy Graham. Brooks didn't say geriatric, I did.
You take away from that exchange, him going against top talent like that, what you can learn.
I thought Jimmy Graham made a really nice play. Christian was in great position. Jimmy made a nice play. It happens in the league, but I love Christian. He was in his proper leverage. He was exactly where he's supposed to be. He was tight in coverage. At the end of the day, offenses, they make plays too, and Jimmy Graham's been making plays for a long time. So that was a good play by Jimmy. I credit to him.
I thought Christian also, if memory serves me correctly, did a good job of timing up when to chop after the ball, go after the ball. I think Jimmy Graham's it's the old classic. He's not as good as he once was, but he's good once as he ever was, and he's going to be able to pull stuff like that off.
This was a preseason game, but the players at the end of the game were on the sideline. The starters were on the sideline standing there like it was a regular season game. They really wanted to get that win. What does that mean to you?
So Sarge asked, what's it mean to you that the starters at the end of the game were on the sideline, watching, engaged, all that?
To see the energy that our guys had tonight on the sideline, that's who I want our team to be. That's what I want our team to represent. And it's just, as I told our guys, and be excited for your brother, right? Make sure you're showing support to those guys who are out there battling for jobs. It's important to them. It's important to us all because we're all in this together. And that's the team first mentality that we want to represent. And they showed tonight. They showed the enthusiasm on the sideline, and that's how I expect it to be each and every game.
I like that about DeMeco. I think that's one of the ways that he's old school. And Sean Payton, I think, did it this year. I played for Tom Coughlin and Dom Capers, who are both old school types of guys. And you weren't allowed to take your shoulder pads off. He didn't want you in a baseball cap. He didn't want you eating hot dogs, all that stuff, which you would eat hot dogs at halftime, which was damn good. The one thing I liked about that was when Dameon Pierce was getting interviewed by Aaron Andrews. I don't feel like America really got the full Dameon Pierce experience because Dameon was distracted by the football game. He was trying to watch the football game. He said nice job to somebody at some point. And I do feel like part of that's because DeMeco wanted to be sure guys were watching, but I think that's how Dameon Pierce is too. He's just naturally wants to be there for his teammates. So that was cool. But it is on to the Ravens. I'm Seth Payne. I played for the Houston Texans, played 10 years in the NFL. Please like and subscribe if you like what you just saw, and tell a friend. Thanks, everybody.